For decades, Led Zeppelin's legendary bassist John Paul Jones remained tight-lipped about the man who defined rock drumming, John Bonham. But now, in a shocking revelation, Jones is breaking his silence. What was Bonham really like behind the explosive drum solos and the wild, untamed energy? Was he the unstoppable force that held Zeppelin together, or the ticking time bomb that led to its collapse? Jones finally unveils the truth, the highs, the struggles, and the untold moments that only he witnessed. Get ready for a rare, unfiltered look into the genius and chaos of John Bonham like never before. Few drummers in rock history have left as profound a mark as John Bonham. As the rhythmic backbone of Led Zeppelin, Bonham's thunderous drumming and technical prowess didn't just drive the band's sound. They redefined what a drummer could be. With hands that hit like sledgehammers and feet that moved with machine gun speed, he was an unstoppable force. However, beyond his explosive performances on stage, Bonham was also a deeply passionate musician, a devoted family man, and as John Paul Jones puts it, a walking earthquake with a heart of gold. John Paul Jones, Zeppelin's bassist and keyboardist, has often been the quiet architect behind the band's sonic magic, overshadowed the flamboyant swagger of Robert Plant and the mystical aura of Jimmy Page. But as Bonham's closest musical ally in the rhythm section, Jones knew the man behind the bombastic drum solos better than most. And let's just say it was never boring. Bonzo didn't just play the drums, Jones recently shared, a wry smile creeping across his face. He attacked them like they owed him money. Indeed, Bonham's playing style wasn't just powerful, it was physical. He treated the drum kit like a living, breathing beast that needed to be tamed nightly. But despite his raw intensity, Jones remembers Bonham as someone who could be both fiercely loyal and absolutely hilarious. There was never a dull moment with Bonzo, Jones continued. One time during a recording session, he decided he needed inspiration. So naturally, he set off a firecracker in the studio. The producer nearly had a heart attack, but Bonzo just grinned and said, "Now we're awake." Yet beneath the wild antics, Bonham was a perfectionist. His dedication to drumming was unparalleled. He was never satisfied with just being great. He wanted to be the best, Jones explained. And well, he was. Jones has remained relatively reserved about Bonham's passing. But in this rare moment of reflection, he acknowledged the gaping hole his friend left behind. We all knew he was special, but I don't think even he realized how much he changed music forever, Jones said, pausing. Then with a smirk he added, and how many eardrums he destroyed along the way. John Paul Jones and John Bonham first crossed paths in the late 1960s when Jimmy Page was assembling the lineup for what would become Led Zeppelin. At the time, Jones was already a well-respected session musician, known for his versatility and deep musical knowledge. Bonham, on the other hand, was a raw, unpolished force of nature, a drummer whose sheer power and instinctive groove immediately set him apart from the competition. Jones recalls the moment he first played with Bonham as a revelation. From the first time we played together, I knew he was special. He had this raw power, but also an incredible sense of groove. He wasn't just a loud drummer. He had finesse, he had swing, and that's what made Bonham different. While many rock drummers of the time relied purely on volume and aggression, Bonham brought something more. His playing was a fusion of thunderous beats and intricate technical precision, a balance rarely achieved in rock music. He wasn't just about brute force. He was a master of dynamics, capable of shifting from whisper-soft ghost notes to earth-shattering fills in the blink of an eye. Part of what made Bonham's style so unique was his deep appreciation for jazz. Unlike many of his rock contemporaries, he didn't just listen to blues and rock and roll. He studied jazz greats like Buddy Rich and Gene Krupa. Their influence was evident in his ability to swing, to play with an effortless fluidity that made even the heaviest Zeppelin songs outgroove. Tracks like Good Times, Bad Times, and Fool in the Rain showcase this perfect marriage of power and subtlety, proving that Bonham wasn't just a rock drummer, he was a true innovator. Jones and Bonham quickly became an inseparable rhythm section, their chemistry forming the backbone of Led Zeppelin's groundbreaking sound. While Robert Plant and Jimmy Page commanded the spotlight, Jones and Bonham were the foundation. Locking into grooves, that could shake stadiums. Looking back, Jones acknowledges that Bonham's talent was unparalleled. He had this natural feel, this instinct that you just can't teach. He played from the gut, and you felt every single hit. It was this rare combination of technical skill, raw energy, and musical intuition that cemented Bonham's legacy, not just as Led Zeppelin's powerhouse drummer, but as one of the greatest to ever sit behind a kit. John Paul Jones has repeatedly emphasized that John Bonham wasn't just about speed or volume. He had an innate sense of feel that made Led Zeppelin's music style truly unique. While many drummers could play fast or hit hard, Bonham had an almost supernatural ability to make the music move. John had a way of making everything groove, no matter how heavy it was. Good times, bad times, that bass drum work, it wasn't just about being fast, it was about making the whole song. John Paul Jones. Indeed, Good Times. Bad Times was an early showcase of Bonham's technical brilliance, particularly his groundbreaking use of rapid-fire bass drum triplets. But as Jones points out, it wasn't just about speed, it was about feel. Bonham's drumming didn't just fill space, it drove the music forward with an infectious energy that made even the heaviest Zeppelin songs swing. Take When the Levee Breaks, for example, that iconic cavernous drum sound. It's one of the most sampled beats in history, and for good reason. The way Bonham controlled the tempo and dynamics made the beat feel enormous, as if the drums themselves were a force of nature. Similarly, Kashmir relies heavily on Bonham's ability to make a slow, stomping rhythm feel monumental. The beat is deceptively simple, yet it carries the entire song, creating a hypnotic, larger-than-life groove. Jones also recalls how Bonham's live performances showcased his unparalleled musicianship. One of the best examples, Moby Dick, the legendary drum solo that left audiences in awe. People think Moby Dick was just a showcase of his power, but it was really a masterclass in musicality. He never played the same thing twice. He was improvising, responding to the energy of the room. John Paul Jones, that was the magic of Bonham. He wasn't just playing the drums, he was conversing with them. He treated every performance like a living, breathing thing, adapting and evolving his playing in real time. Jones firmly believes that Bonham's ability to control dynamics, respond to the moment, and make even the heaviest beats groove is what truly set him apart. A lot of drummers can hit hard, but Bonzo made it feel good. That's why his playing still resonates today. Bonham wasn't just a drummer. He was a rhythmic architect, a master of groove, and the heartbeat of Led Zeppelin. His legacy endures not just in rock history, but in every drummer who strives to balance power with feel. A great rhythm section requires more than just technical ability. It demands a deep musical connection. For John Paul Jones and John Bonham, that connection was almost telepathic. From the moment they started playing together, their chemistry was undeniable. We never had to talk much about what we were going to do. It just happened. I could change something slightly in the groove, and he would pick up on it instantly. John Paul Jones. This instinctive musical bond is evident in tracks like Ramble On and Dazed and Confused, where the bass and drums move as one, effortlessly weaving Zeppelin's signature heavy yet fluid sound. In Ramble On, Jones's melodic bass line dances around Bonham's dynamic syncopated drumming, creating a groove that feels both laid back and driving at the same time. Meanwhile, in Dazed and Confused, their interplay builds tension and release, shifting seamlessly between atmospheric and explosive. This deep, rhythmic synergy wasn't something that could be taught. It was pure instinct, the result of two musicians perfectly attuned to each other. It was this unspoken musical understanding that helped shape Led Zeppelin's legendary sound, making Jones and Bonham one of the greatest rhythm sections in rock history. While John Bonham's drumming was larger than life, his personality was just as intense. He was a man of extremes, fiercely passionate about his craft, wildly unpredictable in his antics, yet deeply loyal to those he cared about. To many, he was the hard-hitting powerhouse drummer of Led Zeppelin, but to those who truly knew him, Bonham was a far more complex and layered individual. Jones recalls, John had a reputation for being a wild man. And yes, he could be, but he was also incredibly kind. He'd give you the shirt off his back if you needed it. Despite his onstage ferocity, Bonham was known for his generosity and warmth. He was a devoted family man, always eager to get back home to his wife and children after long tours. He had a wicked sense of humor and could light up a room with his infectious laughter. But with that intensity also came struggles. Bonham's drinking, however, became a growing issue, especially as the pressures of fame took their toll. The demands of life in Led Zeppelin, the relentless touring, the expectations, and the sheer scale of their success were overwhelming at times. And Bonham, who lived life at full volume, often turned to alcohol as a way to cope. Jones has spoken candidly about how the band struggled with Bonham's demons. He was a great friend, but we all knew he had his battles. There were nights when he'd be the funniest guy in the room, and others when he just seemed lost. The excesses of rock and roll were part of the Zeppelin lifestyle. But for Bonham, the weight of it all sometimes became too much. His drinking led to unpredictable behavior, sometimes hilarious, sometimes destructive. There were moments when his jovial, mischievous spirit would have the entire band in stitches. But there were also nights when he withdrew, trapped in his own internal struggles. Just like the rest of the band loved Bonham like a brother, but Watching him battle his demons was painful. They tried to help in their own ways, but in an era where mental health and addiction weren't openly discussed, it was difficult to intervene. He had a heart of gold, but fame is a strange thing. It lifts you up and wears you down at the same time, Jones reflected. Despite the struggles, Jones remembers Bonham not just for his legendary drumming, but for the man he was. Kind, funny, fiercely loyal, and above all, irreplaceable. On September 25, 1980, John Bonham passed away at the age of 32, leaving an irreplaceable void in Led Zeppelin. His sudden death was a devastating blow to the band, shaking them to their core. Jones recalls the heartbreaking moment they learned of his passing. It didn't seem real. We'd seen him drink before, but this time, it was different. It felt like we lost the heart of the band. Bonham's death wasn't just the loss of an extraordinary drummer, it was the loss of a brother. The chemistry that had made Zeppelin legendary simply couldn't be recreated. Soon after, the band made the painful decision to disband. Without Bonzo, it just wasn't Led Zeppelin anymore. He was irreplaceable. John Paul Jones. Though Bonham's life was tragically short, his impact remains immeasurable. His thunderous beats and deep musicality continue to inspire generations, ensuring his legacy will never fade. More than 4 decades after his passing, John Bonham remains a towering figure in drumming history. His powerful yet groovy style revolutionized rock percussion, influencing generations of musicians. From stadium anthems to intimate recordings, Bonham's drumming was more than just rhythm. It was the pulse of Led Zeppelin, the driving force that made their sound so iconic. Jones firmly believes Bonham's legacy is secure. There have been incredible drummers since, but no one had what John had. He was a once-in-a-lifetime talent. Bonham's influence can be heard in countless rock and metal drummers who cite him as their primary inspiration. His signature triplet bass drum technique, thunderous fills, and impeccable sense of groove became the gold standard for drummers worldwide. Many have tried to replicate his sound, but none have fully captured the magic of his playing. From Dave Grohl to Chad Smith, Bonham's impact is undeniable. Grohl, often regarded as one of modern rock's best drummers, has repeatedly praised Bonham as his biggest influence, calling him the greatest rock drummer of all time. Smith, of the Red Hot Chili Peppers, has spoken about how he studied Bonham's ability to blend power with musicality. One of Bonham's greatest strengths was his ability to make even the heaviest beats feel fluid and dynamic. Songs like Kashmir and When the Levee Breaks showcase his mastery of space, groove, and tone. Unlike many hard-hitting drummers, Bonham understood that what you don't play is just as important as what you do. Beyond his technical skills, Bonham's passion and personality resonated through every performance. He didn't just play the drums, he commanded them. His ability to connect with the music and elevate every song he played on is what makes his work timeless. Though Bonham's life was tragically short, his legacy continues to shape the world of drumming. Whether in rock, metal, or beyond, his influence remains unmatched. As Jones said, there will never be another John Bonham, but his thunderous beat will live on forever. While Led Zeppelin no longer exists, John Paul Jones has never let the memory of his late bandmate fade. Whether through tribute performances, interviews, or simply sharing stories, Jones ensures that Bonham's contributions to music are never forgotten. He understands more than most that Bonham wasn't just a drummer, he was the heartbeat of Led Zeppelin, a force that made their music legendary. Jones reflects on how Bonham's presence still lingers in the world of music. Every time I hear a Zeppelin song on the radio, I smile. Because that's Bonzo, that's his spirit, still shaking the world. Bonham's thunderous drumming continues to inspire generations, and Jones has played a crucial role in keeping that legacy alive. From tribute concerts like Celebration Day to guest performances honoring Bonham's son, Jason Bonham, Jones has always been there to ensure the world never forgets the man behind the beat. John Bonham wasn't just a drummer, he was a force of nature. His playing had a unique mix of raw power and intricate finesse that set him apart from anyone before or since. He could make a song groove effortlessly or shake an entire stadium with a single drum fill. No one knew him better musically than John Paul Jones. Their bond, forged in the fires of rock's most legendary band, remains one of the greatest partnerships in music history. Their rhythm section wasn't just about keeping time, it was about elevating every note, making Led Zeppelin's sound as massive and dynamic as it was. Though Bonham is gone, his legend lives on. Every aspiring drummer who studies good times, bad times, or when the levee breaks is unknowingly paying tribute to him. His beats continue to pulse through rock and roll, his influence spanning decades. And thanks to voices like John Paul Jones, we continue to understand just how extraordinary he truly was. In the end, Bonham's drums never stopped echoing. They live on in Zeppelin's music, in the hearts of fans, and in the stories told by those who knew him best. John Bonham's drumming wasn't just about technique or power. It was about heart, soul, and a deep, instinctive connection to the music. More than 4 decades after his passing, his impact on rock drumming remains unmatched. His beats still thunder through speakers worldwide, inspiring new generations of musicians who strive to capture even a fraction of his magic. John Paul Jones, the man who stood beside him in Zeppelin's legendary rhythm section, continues to honor his memory. Through stories, tributes, and performances, he ensures that Bonham's legacy remains as vibrant as ever. Bonzo wasn't just a drummer, he was the foundation of everything we did. Without him, there was no Led Zeppelin. John Paul Jones. While Led Zeppelin may be a part of history, Bonham's music and spirit live on. And as long as there are fans who still feel the power of his drumming and musicians who seek to emulate his brilliance, John Bonham will never truly be gone. His legend is eternal.